Okay, so we have the logo and we have the side nav. The next thing is going to be creating the footer. So we have it right here. So I'm going to go back to layout, and inside layout, we are just returning some text. So we are going to be returning a component instead. We don't have a component. I'm going to go to components and we're going to create a new one. Since we have header, I'm going to create one that is going to be footer. Makes sense. So it's going to be footer, and inside footer, we're going to have just a file. So it's going to be footer.js. So footer.js is going to be just a stateless component. So I'm going to say import and then React and then from, and then of course React. You know this. What else? I'm going to create the actual component. It's going to be const. Then footer is going to be just a function returning some JSX. So I'm going to say return and then some JSX. Good. I'm going to say footer. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm not going to use the footer. I'm just going to use the div. So remember that we could skip this because we are just returning some JSX. So I'm going to delete this and leave it just like this. And this will work. Good. So we need to export the footer. I'm going to say export default and then footer. And I don't know why it's doing that. It's kind of new. Okay, so this one is going to be exporting, just rendering some text. All right, so right now we have the component, but we are not requesting for this component right here. So I'm going to go at the top and I'm going to say import, then footer from, and then /components /footer / and then footer. Very good. I'm going to make a reference to that right here. Good. So in theory, we should be getting footer, and we get the footer. So that's working. So okay, so I'm going to be adding some classes right here. So we need to have a style sheet for this. I'm going to go back to the footer directory, and I'm going to create a new file that is going to be footer.CSS. And I'm going to make a reference to this. I'm going to import, just like we did before, import styles from, and then / and then footer.css. Very good. What else? We're going to be using a link. So if we check the final right here, this NBA logo is going to be a link. So to use links, we need to import, and we need to import link from React router DOM. Router and then DOM. Good. Okay, so this the main container of the footer is going to have a class. So I'm going to say class name open and close, and this one is going to be styles because we are making a reference to styles, and then dot and then footer. Makes sense. First, we're going to have a link. So I'm going to create a link just like that. Oh, sorry. Sometimes the autocomplete really sucks, Okay, so I'm going to close it. And now this link is going to needs to get a 2, otherwise it's going to give us an error message. So it's going to be / and then home. I'm going to add a class name for this. We could have skipped this, but that's fine. Styles.logo, and this link is going to be an actual image. If we remember inside header, inside header, we have an EMG with the NBA logo. So I'm just going to copy that, go back to footer and paste it just to save time. What else? We have the actual copyright. So I'm going to create a div, and this is going to be a flex container. All right. So this one is going to be to the right. It's going to be at NBA. We're going to have the year. It's going to be 2018, and then all rights reserved. Good. Dot. Very good. So, well, what is going to be next? I'm going to be adding class to this one because it's going to be the one in the right. Styles and then right. Good. So everything looks nice. We need to add the styling. So I'm going to go to footer.css. And the first thing is going to be the actual footer. So I'm going to say footer. And we're going to have a margin and then top of 20 pixels. What else? A background. And the background is going to be just like the header. So it's 242424. What else? It's going to be display, and we can have flex, and justify content, center, and then align items, typical Flex stuff, center. Then we're gonna have style the image. We're gonna give it some properties, and we're gonna get a height of 20 pixels, then a padding of 10 pixels. Makes sense. Then we have this element to the right. This is gonna be the all rights reserved, the actual copyright, and it's gonna be flex grow and 1. So it's gonna be all the way to the right. It's gonna be color, and we're gonna be changing the color of the font, a gray color. And then the font size, we're gonna do it a little bit smaller because it is a copyright. Good, everything looks nice. Not this one, of course. Let's go back right here. Gonna reload the page, and we get it. We get NBA, and then the copyright, and the 2018. And this one, if you think about it, it's gonna be a prom. You're gonna have a prom. So right now, for example, if I check the date, we are in December 2017. So in a few days, the year is going to change. And if you are hard coding this, this is not going to work. You will need to enter the project again, check whenever you have the current year, and update everything from 2017 to 2018. So having this just like this, it's just a bad idea. What we're going to do, we can create a file that is going to contain some variables, and these variables could be dynamic or not. Okay, so I'm going to go to source. Let me close everything. We just have components, HOCs, and inside source, I'm going to create a new file that is going to be called config.js. You can call this whatever you want. Some people call it helpers or functions or whatever. So the main point of this config is to host some variables that are going to be used throughout the whole site. In this case, we need a variable that is going to be hosting the year. So it's going to be current underscore and then year. Make sense? Now I'm going to be using JavaScript, and this is not React. This is just plain JavaScript. I'm going to get the date, and then from this date, I'm going to get the year. So it's going to be get full year, and this will return 2017, which is the current year. So now we need to export this variable, because if we leave it just like it is, we cannot import this the value of this variable inside other components from within other components. So we need to export it. I'm going to say export, and if we do default, this is going to be a prompt, because if we set default, the only thing that it's going to get exported inside this file is going to be the current year. And if we put more variables, they are not going to get exported. So we cannot use default. So what we can use, we can export an object. So if we export an object, this is going to be current year. And remember that with ES6, there's no need to do this, to do current year again. If the key value pairs are the same, we can use just one. Okay, so we are exporting the current year. So I'm going to go back to Footer. I'm going to go right here and import that current year. So it's going to be import. And since that current year is inside an object, I'm going to bring that. So that's why we use the curly braces. I'm going to say current underscore year. And this is going to be from .. / and then config. So this is going to bring the 2017. So in theory, if I just put a reference to this variable, we should be getting 2017. And that works. Now, maybe in the future you want some values, just like a URL or maybe a password or something like that. And you can host it here. You can say const password, and then you can have, I don't know, equal whatever, whatever, and then export it right here, and then make a reference, and you're gonna get the password. And maybe, just maybe, if you are hosting passwords inside this config file, you can skip this one from the Git. Whenever you commit this, you can Git ignore this file, and your passwords are not going to be shared, of course. Okay, so I'm going to delete this and just leave the current year. Okay, so we are done with the footer. Let's move forward to the next thing. All right, so now we're going to create the slider for this, but we're going to think about this just a minute. Right here we have a component that it's rendering a slider, okay? We've already installed the slider, but the slider, it's showing some images and some text and a link. Now, this information comes from a database, and we're going to be using JSON server that to render this information, to get this information. JSON server, it's kind of a fake REST API. So we can have just a JSON file, and this JSON server is going to grab that file and kind of simulate a database, an API. So we can make requests to localhost and the port number, and it's going to give us the news. For in this case, we are rendering some news. So, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do it. It's really simple to use. So now, one other thing is that this slider, it's a component that we get at home. We are using this component at home. But then, we're going to be using it inside the news section right here. You know, it's a different view, it's a different section. So the thing is that if I don't create some, I just create a component that it's not reusable, we're going to have to do it twice. Manually, we're going to have to do it twice. So we're gonna, we're gonna take the hard way, and we're gonna create a reusable component. Okay, so we're gonna be using it from different places. Now the thing is that creating a reusable components takes it takes a little bit more time and a little bit more logic, because we need to cover different scenarios. Okay, that's good. So first we need to install JSON server. So I'm gonna go to the browser. I'm gonna close this one. Close, and I'm going to say JSON server and then GitHub. Maybe you already have JSON server installed. Maybe not. So whenever you go to JSON server, this is the GitHub JSON server. It's type code. Right here, it says get a full REST API with zero coding in less than 30 seconds, and this it's actually true. So how to install it? Let me just scroll down. The documentation, it's not that nice, but well, it's good. So to install it, you have two ways. We can install it globally, and whenever we install something globally, it means that we are installing it in our machine, not this project, not this local project inside the whole machine. So then, whenever this is installed globally, we can just run a command, just like we did with the create React app. Well, same idea. We can run a command, and it's going to create the database for us. Okay, so first we're going to copy this. I've already have it installed, but anyways, I'm just going to install it again. I'm going to kill the process, do clear, and it's going to be npm install -g and JSON server. Going to press enter. It's going to take a few seconds. Now I've already have this, so it shouldn't take more than 1 minute, maybe less. Now whenever this is installed, we're going to run a command and of course work with the JSON database. The thing is that JSON server needs a database, and the database is going to be just a JSON file. I've added as a resource a JSON file, which is going to contain all the news, all the videos, and everything else. It's going to be a kind of a big JSON file. So download it as a resource, and you need to put the file inside the root directory. Right here, not inside source, inside the root directory, okay? Just along with the package.json and everything else. And the file needs to have a specific name. It needs to be called db.json, so do not modify the name of the file. So I'm going to pause the video, bring the file right here, and then I'm going to show you how to make it work. It's going to be really, really simple. Okay, everything's ready. I have my dv.json right here. And if we enter to the dv.json, we can have something that calls articles. We can have a bunch of articles with some dummy data. And if I scroll down, I can have a new section that is going to be videos. And then, of course, I'm going to have, let me find it, I'm going to have teams. So pretty much this is going to be 3 different collections: teams, videos, and news or articles. And the information that we get here is going to be fetched through here. So how to make this JSON server works? Well, it's really, really simple. We have it installed globally, so we can run a command and make it work. So, okay. So I'm going to go right here. This is the our application. I'm going to say npm start, just for now. And I'm going to make a right click. And if you're a Windows user, you will need to open a new terminal and navigate to your project again. Sorry for that. I'm going to say yes right here. And inside a new command right here, we're going to be starting the JSON server. So I'm going to type JSON dash server, just like that. Then minus watch, then db.json. So this is going to be, we are going to be starting the JSON server. We're going to ask the JSON server to watch for changes, and we are passing the name of the file. In this case, it's going to be db.json, remember? And then we need to pass the port. It's going to be minus port and then 300, and you can port whatever port you want, okay? Whatever number you want. I'm going to put for mine 3004. I'm going to press enter. It's going to do something. It's going to go, since you're inside your project, it's going to look for this db.json, and it's going to create a database for you. So now, just like a regular API, if I navigate to articles inside the browser, it's going to be localhost 3004-articles. It's going to give me, just like a regular API, all the information that we have for articles. It's really, really good. And remember that the name of the array of objects is going to be articles, so that's the key name. So, you know, this works really, really good. I use it the whole time to create projects. So, you know, remember to use it. It's really, really good. So we have articles, URL for articles, for videos, and for themes. Something that's really cool with the JSON server is that you can you can do a get, you can do posts, you can do put, patch, delete, you can do a lot of things. You can even do a search or sort, for example. You can do pretty much whatever you can do with a real API. So, you know, it's good. It's good to have it. So, okay. So the next thing is going to be creating the actual slider. We need to create a route. We need to create a component. No, I'm sorry, not a route, just a component that is going to be called from within source components and then home. Right now, home is not returning anything, just something that says home. So right here, we're going to make something that says slider or something like that. And we're going to be creating that. Now, this video went too long already, so we're going to move forward to the next one and start with the slider.